Gordon Ramsay is everything. He owns and operates over 40 restaurants and has received several Michelin stars. His flagship restaurant, Restaurant Gordon Ramsay, is one of only a few in the world to have 3 Michelin stars. He has his own reality TV career, appearing on shows such as Hell's Kitchen, The F Word, Masterchef, and Kitchen Nightmares. He's even been awarded the Order of the British Empire. However, professional success is not a predicator of personal happiness, and while Ramsay may be content today, his life has been fraught with ups and downs. Ramsay has endured abusive relationships, near-death experiences, long-running feuds with his colleagues, and deep, terrible personal loss from his childhood to the pinnacle of his career. And that's before you even get into his well-documented controversies. Yes, he's at the pinnacle of his profession and arguably one of the world's most celebrated chefs. Gordon Ramsay has been a part of many tragic incidents in his life. Keep watching the video till the end to find out. What do you think is Gordon Ramsay's net worth today? Let us know in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. A fire broke out in Ramsay's flagship London hotel's kitchen. The fire was discovered at 10:40 a.m. and fire engines arrived within 20 minutes. Around 1,300 staff and guests were evacuated, including celebrities such as Brad Pitt, Jim Carrey, Mick Jagger, and Matt Damon, but people were allowed back in by 1 p.m. The restaurant was closed for the day, but it reopened the following day. We sincerely apologize for the inconvenience this caused our guests. However, on the rare occasion that an incident like this occurs, the safety of our guests and staff is paramount, said General Manager Michael Hoffman. The hotel stressed that the fire was contained to Gordon Ramsay's kitchens at Claridge's and that the resulting damage is not thought to be serious. The hotel spokeswoman insisted that it was too early to estimate the cost of the fire. The London Fire Brigade confirmed that its crews had dealt with the fire, which began in ducting leading from the basement to the roof and was extinguished by 30 firefighters. According to a spokesman, the damage could be extensive. The fire caused heavy smoke logging on the ground floor and basement area. The cause of the fire is being investigated, he said. Gordon Ramsay grew up in a rough neighborhood. Gordon Ramsay wrote in an in-depth piece for CNN in 2007 about some of the issues he and his family had faced as children. In the article, Ramsay described his father as a less-than-perfect role model who struggled with alcoholism and frequently became violent with Ramsay's mother. Every time he got violent, Ramsay wrote, any present that my brother, sisters, or I had given Mom would be smashed, simply because he knew it belonged to her. There were instances when the police were called to take him away. Mom was taken to the hospital, while we kids were taken to a children's home. Ramsay and his siblings were moved around a lot in their early days, mostly because their homes came with their father's jobs, and because their father frequently lost those jobs. To this day, Ramsay explained, I'll never understand why Mom stayed with him. She deserved so much better and so much more. It still pains me to remember how badly he treated her. I have 4 young children of my own, and I could never see myself behaving the way my father did when I was a child. I want to be a role model for my children and have them look up to me. Ramsay mentioned his and his wife's work with the UK charity Women's Aid, which works to end domestic violence against women and children. Ramsay stressed that domestic violence is not identified solely by violent physical abuse. Instead, it's defined as physical, sexual, psychological, financial, and emotional violence that takes place in a relationship, intimate or family-oriented. Gordon Ramsay had intended to pursue a completely different career path. Although he's now one of the world's most famous chefs, Ramsay began his career in a very different setting, a football stadium rather than a kitchen. Gordon Ramsay explained how he first fell in love with soccer in an article for The Guardian. He wrote, my uncle Roland took me to my first game at Ibrox, he wrote. I was 7 and I went on his shoulders. The crowd was just phenomenal. We were standing by the terraces and I remember getting slightly nervous and very scared. Because you just swayed then, you just moved in a sway formation. I think it was against Hearts and it was dirty, very dirty, and Rangers won 1-0. Those games are always going to be dirty for the next century because it's just an all-blood tie, and I loved it. Ramsay quickly became interested in football as a hobby, later describing himself as a naturally aggressive left-back and cutthroat tackler. Ramsay's parents eventually relocated to Glasgow so he could sign with Rangers FC, and he even played a few non-league games as a trialist. Unfortunately, he then sustained a knee injury. Despite gradually regaining physical fitness, Ramsay was let go from the team. He was effing gutted, as he put it. And worst of all, I still had to tell my dad, who was waiting for me in a transit van parked about 600 yards away from the main entrance, Ramsay writes in his Guardian article. Ramsay soon began his first catering course, and you know how that ended. Gordon Ramsay was taken advantage of by his father-in-law. Although Gordon Ramsay's father was an abusive alcoholic and his brother suffers from addiction, The chef's most recent problems have been caused by a different family member, his father-in-law. Chris Hutchinson Jr. was arrested and imprisoned in 2017 for conspiring with his sons to gain access to Ramsay's firm's computer systems nearly 2,000 times. Hutchinson, Ramsay's wife's father, teamed up with his two sons to try to gain access to Ramsay's financial information. Hutchinson's two sons, Adam and Chris Jr., both worked in IT at Gordon Ramsay Holdings Limited, and Hutchinson was the company's CEO until his dismissal in March 2011. Hutchinson accessed the company's system 600 times in one day in February 2011, while Adam Hutchinson did the same 282 times. According to Sky News, Hutchinson and his sons had been gathering information on Ramsay's intellectual property rights in the hopes of gaining the upper hand in a legal dispute with Ramsay. Some of the information they obtained, including the fact that Ramsay had a hair transplant, was leaked to the national press. Gordon Ramsay and his wife experienced a family tragedy at home. Gordon Ramsay opened up about his miscarriage with his wife, Tana, in a heartfelt message posted on Facebook via Tommy's in 2016. This followed a small movement of celebrities who had opened up about miscarriage, including Mark Zuckerberg, Gwyneth Paltrow, Nicole Kidman, Courtney Cox, Mariah Carey, Pink, and Beyonce. Ramsay wrote, "Hi guys, Tana and I want to thank you so much for your support over the past couple of weeks. We had a devastating weekend as Tana has sadly miscarried our son at 5 months. We're together healing as a family, but we want to thank everyone again for all your amazing support and well wishes. I'd especially like to send a big thank you to the amazing team at Portland Hospital for everything they've done. GX." Ramsay and Tana welcomed their fifth child, Oscar James Ramsay, in 2019. After 3 BAFTAs and 1 Emmy, finally we have won an Oscar. Please welcome Oscar James Ramsay, the chef wrote on Instagram. Ramsay has 4 other children with his wife, Megan, Jack, Holly, and Matilda. Gordon Ramsay had a close call with death. During the filming of Gordon Ramsay's hit TV show The F Word, the celebrity chef nearly died after losing his footing on a hike in Iceland. Ramsay and his production crew were on their way to the country's Westman Islands when he fell while descending a rock face. Ramsay jumped into the water, but his heavy boots dragged him down even more, causing the chef to panic despite being a normally excellent swimmer. "I thought I was a goner," Ramsay later said. "They say cats have 9 lives. I've had 12 already, and I don't know how many more I'll have." After 45 seconds underwater, Ramsay was able to free himself from his boots and swim back to the surface. His crew, who threw him a rope and hauled him to safety, assumed he was dead. Ramsay was then treated at his hotel for a knee injury before being examined by a doctor in London. However, Ramsay's true ordeal had yet to begin. "I didn't tell Tana at first," Ramsay said. "I chickened out, but she knew something was up. She was upset and extremely pissed off. When I was underwater, all I could think of was Tana and my kids." And that's all for today's video. Thanks for watching. Do let us know your thoughts on this video in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, then do like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more such exciting content. See you in the next one.